Jesus,
But isn't that the bigger weight for most of us? The fact that we think we didn't see it and we should have seen it, where they weren't displaying perhaps any signals to see it, but one still blames oneself.
Yeah, and we doubt our instinct.
Correct.
We doubt our good feelings, so we don't.
Correct.
We say, no, why am I thinking like that? There's nothing wrong. Look at this person is whatever, and we can doubt ourselves. And we sometimes don't back ourselves, and that can be
its own enemy, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'm going deep here, but look at
No. I mean, what you're saying, it would be, my business experience would be nowhere near yours, but you've hit a few home truths. I think a lot of us who are in that space at different levels come across as givens, whether it's 1 out of 99 people, 2, doesn't matter. But things you think will happen or expect don't, or vice versa. And that's where you feel let down.
Exactly.
And being let down is an emotional thing. Business people are not supposed to be emotional, but it's only normal and natural.
Well, it is normal and natural. And actually, it's the emotions. Remember we spoke at the beginning of the conversation? Yeah. It's actually the emotion and the passion that keeps you going through the tough times.
Yeah. So
the emotions are hugely, critically important for a business person in actually growing, scaling, developing their business, because they're passionate about it. They're putting their heart and soul and body and mind and everything behind that big rock that they're pushing up a hill.
Yeah.
And that ball is not going to go up that big rock and not go up the hill unless that emotion and that passion is there.
Correct. And in terms of your health, was that frightening, the heart attack?
The heart attack was probably the best thing that happened to me in my life.
Is that hindsight wisdom, or you feel in the balance of things it was the best thing for you?
Well, I needed a huge kick in the arse.
Yeah.
To cop on to myself. To say,
were people trying to tell you? Was your wife or somebody trying to tell you you're working too hard, or X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, my wife was, and others were as well.
Yeah.
Even say, for example, we'd be out for dinner and place we'd go to. Normally, we'd like to go to the 12 restaurant of Burnley. You may know it.
Yeah.
And the lovely food there, and we'd be there, my wife and I, or we'd be there with friends, and she would just give me a tap under the table and would give me a little kick or whatever. She'd look at me, and I know exactly what she was on worrying. She's like, you're not here. Your mind is someplace else. You're physically here, but your mind is wrapped up in business or issues in business or whatever. Will you, for God's sake, settle down? Will you just take a step back from it? So even though I was there and I was laughing and smiling and having a chat or having a drink or eating a meal, I was there physically, but I really wasn't there. So the heart attack was a time for resetting who I am and where I am in life. And I needed something serious or a big jolt to get me to cop on a little bit.
And you were in the gym or something that morning, that day when it started, wasn't it?
I was. It's a huge coincidence that I'm alive today, to be honest with you, because I was setting up another airline called Aer Lingus Regional. We got a CEO of Aer Lingus at the time, Christoph Muller, brilliant guy.
Yeah,
he was reshaping the Aer Lingus model, and in actual fact, what we were doing as a regional airline was kind of an important part of the jigsaw, putting his overall airline model in place for Aer Lingus. And they still have that model. They're still doing exactly what was created by Christoph Muller. So they were, 12, 15 years ago. So I was supposed to go up to see him. That morning I went to the gym at around 7:30. I was feeling fine. About probably 8 or 9 months before that, I ran the New York Marathon, or a year before that. So I was reasonably fit. And I was meeting a guy in Galway, in Dublin Street in Galway, for a cup of coffee. He wanted to have a chat with me. A guy called Alan Mulholland, great guy. He was the manager of the Galway Gaelic football team. And he wanted me to put a kind of a mentoring coaching process in place for his squad. And I started getting a pain on my left-hand side, in my shoulder, kind of towards my heart. Didn't know what it was. I told Alan I need to go to the car, I need to go to a doctor. He said, "You sure you're okay?" So I'm fine. And I walked down to a place called Munster Avenue where the car was parked, which is an unusual place to park the car, to be honest with you, where I was meeting Alan, but that's where I parked. And I wasn't able to drive the car. I was kind of trying to drive in the hospital. Next thing I saw Alan running towards me. And he didn't know why he looked for me. He didn't know what car. He didn't know what kind of a car I drove. But the first place he looked, he found me and he pushed me into the passenger seat, drove me at speed to the hospital. And he told me to get inside the door of the hospital. And he said, park the car, because he was double parked where ambulances park. And anyway, I managed to get inside the door. There was a queue at the reception area where you register your name when you're sitting down waiting to go in A&E. And I knew I wasn't well. I didn't know what was wrong with me. But I went into A&E and I walked down the corridor, saw a few doctors, told them I'm not feeling well, if they can help me. They weren't, one of them said to me, look, you have to sign in, there's a process here, you cannot jump the queue. But I knew I wasn't well. I'm not a guy to jump queues. I don't like doing that. I hardly ever do, but I knew I had to see a doctor. There's a young lady, trainee doctor there, and she ignored and she brought me into a cubicle. And I was lying down there, and she was supposed to go out to get monitoring equipment to put on me, but she didn't. And if she had moved out, by the time she'd be back, it'd be too late, because that's the first time my heart stopped. And she used CPR to get me back. And then I was rushed down the corridor, looked up in a lift, down another corridor, and I could see I was going to an operating theatre. And there was a number of doctors, nurses there. There was one person in particular that was, I suppose, in charge of the whole lot. They told me, somebody said, we're going to put your clothes off. I wasn't going to stop them. It wasn't extensive stuff anyway. So
it wasn't Louis Copeland's suit, no?
Oh, Louis Copeland's my favourite plate, but it wasn't on this occasion, so it wasn't. So anyway, somebody said to the surgeon, we cannot go ahead with this procedure because we don't have written consent. And he said, look, it's too late for that now. So I knew then it was serious. I didn't know what it was. And I said, thank God they don't know who I am, because I don't want my wife and kids to know about this until after all this is over, one way or the other. So they started doing something with my groin, and pain was 11 out of 10. It was really, really bad. And then Rossa, it's kind of difficult to say, but what happened then was I actually knew I was going to die. I asked myself, are you okay to die? And I said, look, I did things right, I did things wrong. I made good decisions, I made bad decisions. But I said, I'm only human, and like anybody else. I never tried to do anything to hurt or damage anybody. I gave life the best shot I could. So I said, God, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but it's your call now, but I'm going to keep fighting. And then I wasn't in the operating theatre. I had no pain or some presence. And after probably about 2.5 minutes or so, 2.5, 3 minutes, I was back in the operating table again. My back was up of the table. And what they'd done is they'd done what they call the jump leads.
Yeah.
Defibrillator.
Yeah,
defibrillator.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then a little while afterwards, the pain reduced. And then the surgeon who was there all the time came to me and he says, you're very, very, very lucky. Less than 1% of people survive what you've gone through. And
was it a Widowmaker kind of thing?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the Widowmaker. Yeah, it was. So he said to me, we put in a stent. I said, sound great. I said, geez, I hope it's a Galway stent.
Medtronic.
Yeah, because about 6 or 8 months before that, Ross, I was Boston Scientific came to me and asked me where I speak at a kind of a management few days away.
Yeah.
Leadership. And I said, I will, but I need to know what you do, lads.
Yeah.
So I went into Boston Scientific, they gave me a tour of the place. They told me what they did, and they told me that 1 in every 4 stents that's implanted in people in the world is made in Galway.
Yeah.
So he asked me, I told Kieran Daly's name, great surgeon. I told him, I said, 1 in every 4 stents that's implanted in somebody around the world is made in Galway. Yeah. And he looked at me, laughed at me. And I said, who made it? And he said, Medtronic made it.
Yeah.
So I said, would you have the part number? Because Ross said, I swear to God, when I was running the airline, we'd have to keep the